and thank you for joining me today for Shakespeare in the Parlor. My name is Caleb Burnham, and today we'll be talking about A Midsummer Night's Dream. More specifically, we'll be talking about the play within the play, Pyramus and Thisbe. We'll have a reading of some excerpts from Pyramus and Thisbe, a short discussion of some of the themes that are long-lasting from the play, as well as a short excerpt from Midsummer Night's Dream that was notated by the last living resident of this house, Evelyn Hazen. So joining me today for our reading of Pyramus and Thisbe are two very good friends of mine, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Rain Palmer, and I'll be reading for Pyramus/Nick Bottom the Weaver.
Hi, I'm Gray Casterline, and I will be reading for Thisbe/Flute the Bellows Mender.
And I will be reading the other assorted parts as well as the limited stage direction. Well, let us begin.
Oh, grim looked night! Oh, night with hue so black! Oh, night, which ever art when day is not. Oh, night! Oh, night, lack. I fear my Thisbe's promise is forgot. And thou, oh wall, oh sweet, oh lovely wall, that stands between her father's ground and mine. Thou wall, oh sweet and lovely wall. Show me thy chink to blink through with mine eye. Oh, thanks, courteous wall. Jove, she'll be well for this. But what see I? No Thisbe do I see. Oh, wicked wall, through whom I see no bliss. Cursed be thy stones for thus deceiving me.
The wall, methinks, being sensible, should curse again.
No, in truth, sir, he should not. And deceiving me is Thisbe's cue. She is to enter now, and I am to spy her through the wall. You shall see, it will fall pat. As I told you, yonder she comes.
Oh, wall, full often hast thou heard my moans. For parting my fair Pyramus and me, my cherry lips have often kissed thy stones with lime and hair knit up in thee.
I see a voice. Now will I to the chink to spy, and I can hear my Thisbe's face. Thisbe?
My love thou art, my love, I think.
Think what thou wilt. I am thy lover's grace, and like Lymander am I trusty still.
And I like Helen till the fates me kill.
Not Shafalus to Procris was so true.
As Shafalus to Procris I to you.
Oh, kiss me through the hole of this vile wall.
I kiss the wall's hole, not your lips at all.
Wilt thou at Ninny's tomb meet me straightway?
Tide life, tide death, I come without delay.
Later, at Ninus' tomb.
This is old Ninny's tomb.
Ninus!
But where is my love?
Sweet moon, I thank thee for thy sunny beams. I thank thee, moon, for shining now so bright. For by thy gracious golds and glittering gleams I trust to take of truest Thisbe sight. But stay! Oh, spite! But mark, poor knight, what dreadful dole is here. Eyes, do you see? How can it be? Oh, dainty duck, oh dear, thy mantle good. What? Stained with blood? Approach, ye furies fell, O fates! Come, cut thread and thrum, quill, crush, conclude, and quell. O wherefore, nature, didst thou lions frame? Since lion vile hath here deflowered my dear, which is, no, which was, the fairest dame that lived, that loved, that liked, that looked with cheer. Come, tears, confound. Come, tears, confound, outsword and wound the pap of Pyramus. I that left pap where heart doth hop. Thus die I, thus. Now am I dead, now am I fled. My soul was in the sky, Dung, lose thy light. Moon, take thy flight. Now die, 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 die.
Asleep, my love. What? Dead, my dove. Oh, Pyramus, arise! Speak! Quite dumb. Dead! Dead? A tomb must cover these sweet eyes, these my lips, this cherry nose, these yellow cowslip cheeks are gone! Are gone! Oh, lovers make moan, his eyes were green as leeks. Sisters three, come to me with hands as pale as milk. Lay them in gore, since you have shore with shears as thread of silk. Tongue, not a word. Come, trusty sword, come, blade my breast imbue. And farewell, friends. Thus Thisbe ends. Adieu. Adieu. Adieu.
Very good. All right, so we ready, guys? We ready to get this thing rolling again? Okay. So that was obviously a bit of a pared down version of Pyramus and Thisbe, as it only included mostly Pyramus and Thisbe. Obviously, there's a bit more to the play within the play, but for our sake here, I trimmed it down a little bit. So I know both of you guys have done Midsummer numerous times. I've been a part of several of them myself. So just give me a little bit about your thoughts about this play and, this part of the show in particular.
Well, I mean, the first time Gray and I did a Midsummer Night's Dream, and that was with you, neither of us got to be in the play within a play, so we didn't realize how cool the rude mechanicals were.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the thing with Midsummer, I think. You can play the fairies, you can play the lovers, you can play the nobility, but as soon as you get a chance to be one of the rude mechanicals, you're like, that's the fun part.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't think I realized it until my second time through, like, being on stage as one of the people that was a spectator for this and like being like, oh, man, they're doing that's so much more fun than standing here watching. I was like, wait a second.
I definitely agree. That has always been my favorite part of Midsummer is the rude mechanicals. Not disparaging any other parts of the show, but it's my favorite. And it, has my favorite Shakespearean character in Peter Quint. So, it's hard to argue.
We stand Peter Quint in this house.
Yes. Now, that just kind of leads me into my first question here. My first question. So why is Midsummer, arguably, the most successful Shakespeare comedy here in the modern era? I mean, we've seen several different adaptations of it. It's parodied all the time. So what do you think lends Midsummer, what about Midsummer lends it to being still so funny and so relevant in this day and age?
I think part of it could have to do with the language itself. I mean, Shakespeare's intimidating. Mm-hmm. I've done over 15 Shakespeare shows in my lifetime, and it still intimidates the heck out of me. But Midsummer is written in a bit of a clearer language, especially the rude mechanicals who aren't written in verse or iambic pentameter. They're loose. They're loose cannons. And I mean, even Pyramus and Thisbe, which is supposed to be Peter Quint's attempt at writing this heightened language that is almost a parody of Shakespeare himself, it's still very understandable. They're using words that we in the modern day understand and can find funny in a way that, let's say, maybe Much Ado would be a little more difficult, or just because of the heightened language and use of verse, iambic pentameter.
And some of the jokes that aren't quite, we don't get nowadays is we don't know the context.
Yeah.
I think Midsummer too, I mean, it has a huge cast, and I think it showcases like people from all different walks of life. I think there's so many different characters that, like, no matter who you are or where you come from, like, you're gonna find a character in the show that resonates with you, and you're gonna find a character that sticks with you and you keep thinking about. Like, I mean, it's got like nobility, it's got the rude mechanicals, it's got fairies. Like, I mean, those are like the three things that a person can be.
Puck.
Yeah, it has Puck. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the cool thing about Midsummer. I mean, it's so sectioned out that when the characters do kind of interweave into scenes together, they really stand out because you start off and you're like, here's the nobility and they're having their issues, but here are the fairies and they're having their issues, and here are the rude mechanicals and they're trying to put on a play. Let's see what happens when they all meet up.
Yeah, it feels like a crossover episode.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, I know those guys, and I know those guys. They're on stage together now.
Excellent. Yes, most definitely. That is, like I said, the culmination of everything right there at the end of the play is quite lovely. So now speaking of the play within the play, so why do you think the use of that particular device is used so often? Like, obviously it's used here in this show, but it is used in all other sorts of media, from other plays and stories to television and movies. So what do you think it is about the play within a play that makes it such a popular option to use?
I mean, it's a device that Shakespeare really likes. You see it in Hamlet with the murder of Gonzago. Technically, Taming of the Shrew is a play within a play. We just always cut the framing narrative. Mm-hmm. But I think the really cool thing about it is it's a chance to spotlight what's already happened in the show. Like Murder of Gonzago, they're literally putting on a show about how Hamlet's uncle killed his dad. And this, it's poking fun at the lovers, I think. I mean, on top of being like that beautiful culmination for the rude mechanicals have been working for this play the entire time, and now here they go, and it sucks, and it's beautiful, and it's suckiness. But like, half of the show are just lovers arguing with each other for like things that if they just had like a rational conversation would not be a big deal. And then there's Pyramus and Thisbe, which, I mean, like, Gray and I always point this out every time we do a Midsummer. It's Lysander and Helen. Lysander and Helena.
Yeah, I think, especially in this play too, it definitely brings forth a feeling of catharsis. You're like, they finally did the play. They've been trying to do this play. This guy got lost in the woods because they were trying to rehearse for this play. But I don't know, I think whenever Shakespeare puts a play within a play, it just kind of showcases his love that he had for theater. Mm-hmm. And, you know, him talking about how, you know, art imitates life, it holds up a mirror to nature, things like that. Like, I think the fact that even these characters in these plays also enjoy theater is like him being like, see, it's important.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Now, what are some modern examples of the play within a play, a concept that you guys have found have used it really well?
Oh no. Oh no. You think I read anything from modern day?
Well, not just plays, but also movies and television as well.
There was a really good episode of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody where they put on a High School Musical, and it's funny because Ashley Tisdale was in High School Musical, the movie, and she was also in the show. And she wanted to be cast as the same character that she played in the movie.
They said she looks nothing like her. I remember that.
That's the only thing that comes to mind, really. And I didn't even have cable, so I don't know how I watched that.
Well, I mean, like, the story within a story narrative is something that you find even in literature. I mean, Frankenstein is that. Heart of Darkness is that. I mean, people telling stories about telling stories is just like one of those big things that you end up seeing. I think it's just a really good framing narrative because not only do you now know the person telling the story, but now you're kind of in their narrative. Like they're telling you a story, but the people inside the story are also telling you a story, and it's a weird effect, but I enjoy it.
Storyception.
Inception.
So another big thing about this play, and a lot of Shakespeare comedies in general, is the use of wordplay. And now wordplay has a huge place in comedy, and so just kind of talk about your experiences with wordplay, whether it be with this show or others.
Well, I think one of the cool things about Shakespeare wordplay is that it's the only thing that we have that we know is supposed to be funny. Like, we add our physicality to it. Like, Gray and I were doing dumb things when we were doing our little scene, even with our limited movement, because that's what we find funny, but that's not written in the script. We're just improvising on that. Yeah. But like, when you read this, you know what's supposed to be funny, because it's like, oh, sweet moon, thank thee for thy sunny beams. I mean, wordplay is kind of the heart of a play because you're using that for your comedy. Like, Okay, one of the funniest things I've ever encountered in Shakespeare was actually Titus Andronicus, which should never be the case.
Oh, the irony.
Right, the bloodiest, like, the one where people get baked into pies and hands are cut off, and So it has my favorite funny line in it, where two of the bad guys have realized that the guy they were conspiring with slept with their mother and impregnated her very consensually. That's not the gross part of the show, thank God. But they turn to him and they say, "Villain, what hast thou done?" And he says, "Villain, I hath done thy mother." And it's like, oh! Even modern day, she's like, oh!
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's brutal. Good. Savage, if you will.
Yeah.
So what are some other some modern day comparisons that you can, or maybe authors, I should say, that have very good uses of wordplay that kind of remind you of this play here? Whether it's a playwright or, well, I'll give you an example to start off. I find that Douglas Adams has some of the best wordplay of a modern writer that I've found so far. The way he can describe light slinking out of a room after deciding it wasn't going to go outside. I mean, there's just how you can write that and describe that certain scene so you can think of something that doesn't have that sort of actual power being able to do something like that. It's just hilarious.
Would you think something like The Adventure Zone?
Oh, I'd say yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think of an example.
Well, I mean, podcasts in general are just using words to create humor, or just like beautiful pictures.
Painting word pictures.
Word pictures, if you will.
Word pictures. I like that very much. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining me here today and helping me read this this little excerpt from Pyramus and Thisbe. So here at the Mabry-Hazen house, they have one of the largest collections of family artifacts, complete family artifacts, anywhere in the nation. And that includes this right here, which happens to be Evelyn Hazen, the last resident of this home. This is her copy of the Complete Works of William Shakespeare. Now, she studied Shakespeare throughout her life from school onwards, and she made a lot of notations in this book, in particular about this one passage of Midsummer Night's Dream that I'll read to you here in a second. She says here in the line notes, this is one of the best passages of poetry. So I'll read it for you now. More strange than true, I never may believe these antique fables nor these fairy toys. Lovers and madmen have such seething brains, such shaping fantasies that apprehend more than cool reason ever comprehends. The lunatic, the lover, and the poet are of imagination all compact. One sees more devils than vast hell can hold. That is the madman. The lover, all as frantic, sees Helen's beauty in the brow of Egypt. The poet's eye, in a fine frenzy rolling, doth glance from heaven to earth, from earth to heaven. And as imagination bodies forth the forms of things unknown, the poet's pen turns them to shapes and gives to airy nothing a local habitation and a name. Such tricks have strong imagination, that, if it would but apprehend some joy, it comprehends some bringer of that joy. I would like to thank everyone for joining us here today for Shakespeare in the Parlor. I'd like to extend a special thanks out to the Mabry-Hazen House for allowing us to film this show here, as well as the Tennessee Arts Commission for their support and the grant funding. Thank you very much, and I hope you will join us next time for Shakespeare in the Parlor.